This morning we got the world premiere of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it really has a ton of fans excited for this new game. Now, it wasn't the traditional Assassin's Creed trailer in the sense that we don't have a beaked hooded figure running around stabbing people in the neck, but it was a very awesome trailer nonetheless, and I think it has some really cool hints in it as to what we can expect from this game. Now, some of the information that I'm going to talk about today is confirmed by developer commentary, and some of it is going to be speculation based off of what I see in the trailer. So let's jump right into this. But before we start, I just want to say that if you do enjoy the video, leave it a nice, juicy, and delicious like. And if you really enjoy content like this, then make sure that you do subscribe. So first, I want to talk about our main character, Eivor. He's a very interesting guy, and I have a couple of theories about who he's going to be and how the story is going to go based off of this trailer and the hints that it kind of gives us. So first of all, I think everyone can notice he's not a traditional assassin, and I think that's because he's not an assassin in the first place anyway. I think he's just a regular Viking raider, and I think there's definitely some inspiration from Black Flag going on here where you don't really start off with the assassin ideals, and I think they go a little bit further here with you not even really being an assassin in general in the first place. Obviously, he doesn't have the hood on, and he wears the hidden blade in a different way. I don't want to say an incorrect way because that's the way Darius wore it, but it's definitely different than what we see most of the time. Obviously, Bayek started that kind of tradition of wearing it on the bottom where it's hidden. It looks like our guy Eivor here, he wants to be very obvious about things, and he likes this really cool weapon just being on the top of his arm where he can really utilize it in a brutal Viking fashion. But I want to take a closer look at the actual hidden blade itself because we get a really good look at it right here, and I think that is one of the intentional hints they give us. If you look closely at it, the metalwork, the engravings on it, they don't look very Nordic. Not that the Nordic people couldn't do something like this, but it looks different. It definitely looks more English or French or one of those types of metalworks. I don't want to say it's too intricate for the Norse people to have pulled off, but it's very stylish, and it doesn't seem like something the Nordic peoples would have necessarily done. In my opinion, I think that Eivor actually found this off of an assassin. Now, in the developer commentary, they do talk about it actually, so I'm going to play that really quickly.
Okay, so this is the coolest thing in the world. There's so much I want to talk about. First of all, the hidden blade. The hidden blade is back. What was the decision around that? And then it's also mounted on top of the arm for the first time. Where did all those decisions come from?
You go first.
Let's see here. I'll go first. Okay. We're building a Viking fantasy. We wanted our players to live in the boots of a Viking warrior, and to fully live in that fantasy, but this is within the Assassin's Creed world. And so in our journey, of course, we can't spoil too much here, but in our journey, Eivor does meet with assassins. Now, Eivor doesn't necessarily know what that means, but there is some kind of common ground that they have, and this is something that these are people that Eivor will work with. And at some point, Eivor does receive a hidden blade. So that's something that happens in the journey quite early on. Again, we don't want to get into any spoiler territory or explain why the connection is there, but it is something that's very significant and important to the journey of this game. And so when Eivor receives this hidden blade, Eivor puts it on and believes that this is such a kick-ass weapon that why would you want to hide it from your enemies? So here again, we wanted to show that Eivor, there's something more to this character than yes, this is a Viking raider, but there is more. There is something unique here. There's a unique journey that our players will go on.
So as you can see by what Ashraf said, it sounds like he receives this hidden blade at some point in the game. Now, obviously, they're not going to be specific about how he gets it. Just because he says he receives it doesn't mean that, Assassins rolled up at Q Assassin Christmas meme and handed it to him all gift wrapped and said, here you go, Avar. I think that he maybe found one off of a dead assassin on the battlefield, or possibly that he got into a fight with an assassin and actually took it off the body after he was done with it because he thought it was a pretty cool weapon. Maybe the assassin tried to use it on him in the fight and failed, and so Avar took it for himself. He was like, I can use this is pretty dope. So I think that's a possibility. And then of course Ashraf said that he does associate a little bit with the assassins and has some similar ideals. Now, I want to go back to the scene where he spares the innocent woman and child in the town. This is not characteristic of Vikings, and I saw people in the comments of the trailer saying, oh, this is unrealistic, I can't believe they would shy away from this. But I think, again, we're showing here that this guy does have some assassin ideals where he's not going to harm innocents. It's not totally impossible that a Viking would have done so, and of course, the only people writing about the Vikings that give us this information were the people the Vikings were attacking. So they are going to be portrayed in a more negative light than they probably really were. But again, this is shown to show that he does have some of the assassin ideals. As far as hiding in plain sight, that doesn't seem like something this guy really does. So while he shares some ideals with the assassins, he's not a full-fledged assassin. Now, will he become one at some point in the game? Yes, I do think that he will. It's called Assassin's Creed for a reason, but I think that that will happen over a period of time in the game. Let's not forget the lead writer is Darby McDevitt, who worked on Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Edward Kenway in that game wasn't really a full-fledged assassin until partway through that game. He had some similar ideals that he learned throughout the game about them, but he wasn't all the way on board with what they were teaching. Then of course by the end of the game he was. So that's my theory as to what's going on here with Avar. And I do like his little addition of the teeth wrapping around the back part of the hidden blade here. I think that looks really cool. Actually, a nice little personal touch by, I'm assuming, him. I think that's what's going to happen with Avar. Like I said, I don't think he's a full-fledged assassin at first, but he will be. Now, the other thing I want to talk about that seemed very significant in the trailer. So we see this hooded figure, and it's just assumed that it's Odin, because obviously the next shot, he kind of pans away and disappears behind someone, and then a raven flies off a tree. And in the developer interview, they said that it's Avar thinking that Odin is giving him a favor in battle, so it gives him the will to keep fighting. But to me, to be the only hooded figure in an Assassin's Creed trailer is pretty significant. So while it very well could be Odin, and that's the direction they're going, and they want to add much more mythical stuff to the game, and you can get favors on the battlefield from, say, a piece of Eden or something that may be around the area, and that's what's inspiring him and causing Odin to appear. Maybe that's the direction they're going, but to me, I think that this is actually an assassin who's there to keep an eye on the events that are going on so they can plan their next moves. Like I said, I don't think that Avar is totally involved with the assassins, and so he thinks this hooded figure is Odin. Of course, the raven flying away is ideally perfect timing, but you gotta think a bird like a raven or an eagle is also a symbol of the assassins. Keep those ties in mind. Again, only hooded figure in an Assassin's Creed trailer, pretty significant, and I think that Odin would appear a little differently if he did just kind of roll up to a battle going on, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about this hooded figure. What do you think he is? Do you think it's just Odin and they're being very upfront about it, or do you think that maybe Ashraf and team are trying to deceive us a little bit and make us think that what is believed and what really is are completely different things, and that there's something a little bit deeper here? There's definitely an interesting clip in the developer commentary that I'll show here that kind of talks about it.
So we get like a little tease here. There's some hooded figure that appears to be standing next to this tree on the battlefield. Anything at all, Ash, you could tell us about this figure here?
Here, Avar believes that he is receiving some kind of favor, and it gives him the sort of, let's say, the will to push forward.
Odin is with us! So is that the sort of physical manifestation of Odin there?
Well, in the myths, Odin has two ravens, Hugin and Munin, which are a thought and memory. They come from the words thought and memory, and they were just his two companions that would help him gather knowledge and wisdom about the world.
So yeah, I think this hooded figure is definitely intriguing, and I want to show this picture right here because this is a very interesting parallel that was drawn on Twitter regarding these two trailers. And don't forget, not only did Darby McDevitt work on Black Flag, he also worked on Revelations. So I think some of these connections, some of these similarities, they're not very obvious, but they're very telling when you do find them. There's some connections being drawn, and I really like that about this team, and I really trust in what they're doing, and I really like the direction that I'm seeing from this trailer and where things are going forward. So I can't wait to see more gameplay of this, just to see how the combat actually works in the game, see how the world works, maybe see some next gen gameplay, see what that looks like now. The last thing I want to talk about is our villain. So we do get a glimpse at the main villain, or who I'm assuming is the main villain, but it's the guy narrating, which probably makes him the main villain, and it could be any king in England when we get a good look at him. Could be any king in England, could be anybody, but we do get confirmation as to who this is, not only just by looking at his face and by the piece of paper signed Alfred. The team at Ubisoft did confirm that this is Alfred the Great and that the game will start in 873 AD. Now, this is the very beginning of Alfred's reign. He took power in 871 and died in 899, obviously when he lost power at the age of 50. Now, the circumstances around his death are actually mysterious in real life, which I think gives them some more freedom with how they want to write the story. Now, will we see his death in this game? I don't know. That's a really long time to cover in a game, but I mean, Assassin's Creed 2 took place over about 20 years. This game taking place over a similar amount of time could conceivably be done, and I don't think it would be a bad thing. I think getting more time and more story with our main character and seeing how he grows throughout his life is actually a very good way to tell a story, and these are the guys that I think would do something like that. So Alfred the Great, I think he's going to be our main bad guy, and then of course you have his pedophile-looking sergeant who looks like he crapped his pants here at the end of the trailer. I just think this is a hilarious shot, and I think he's a total creeper who I hope is the first guy we stab when we start the game. Before we leave off, I just want to say that I will be covering a lot more of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and if you want to see more content on it, then make sure you subscribe to get more videos just like this one and many others. So anyway, I'll leave you with this thought from Darby McDevitt, and I'll see you in the next video.
Within this Viking fantasy inside the Assassin's Creed world.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time overlapping and intertwining threads to make sure that every moment of it really feels connected, integrated, that it's all, you know, when you play this game, you're in not just a Viking game, but an Assassin's Creed game.